Eric, hello. It's nice to have you with us. How are you today?
Hey, Jure, thank you. Thank you very much for having me here. I'm pretty good, pretty good. I'm not unfortunately enjoying the sun yet, as you are, but the weather
Yes.
over here is quite okay. So probably we'll go out with the family later on.
Yeah, well, weather is fine, but we are all grounded, aren't we, due to coronavirus and so on.
Yeah, unfortunately. But you know what? I'm looking for some positives outside of that. Definitely, I have more time for the family, more than ever. Not traveling that much or actually at all. So, I'm looking for some uh, better things that we can have right now.
Wonderful. So, Eric, I've got a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
First question will be: you are now in Digikey company 7 years, something like that. What
Yep.
do you think is the biggest achievement of Digikey in Slovenia during this period? What has happened? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure thing. I would say the first and the most important thing for me is when I started, I remember most of the customers or majority of them would actually buy from Digikey when they had to. There was no other option. There was no one else. We were the only one having the stock, so they were buying from us. But again, it was not really a selection from customers. It was the timing we only had stock, and then they bought from us. Within that time, we did many good investments in the market. So we lowered the shipping thresholds. We added the DDP delivery, and the delivery takes now, let's say, 2 to 3 days, custom cleared. So we're kind of being visible now. Even though we have the warehouse back in the US, the delivery seems like it's EU delivery. So I would say this is the biggest achievement that we did, so that now we can be seen for customers as actually a kind of EU based supplier. So I would say that's number one. And number two, also, with being more in the field and also having the team in the back that is taking care of those customers, we are no longer a kind of machine that they type to, but they know there is a person. And I really like the working through online and not so much touch, and the customers love it as well. But if there's something is wrong going on, then they definitely know whom to contact, where to find it out. So I like the biggest achievement, again, I would say, is that we've been able to shift from being visible as this kind of maybe even broker from America, far away, that you need to have all these customs and a lot of payment for shipment, to really local, being close to customer and giving them a really good and speedy service. So I would say this is the biggest one.
Yeah, you're right. We here in the EU, we are kind of got used to it, that there is no customs, no procedures, and so on. And this is really very good. I must congratulate you. That was really wonderful. Tell me, Digikey seems to be quite active on API. What's the bit for the customers in Slovenia?
Yeah. So the API, as you know, it's the application programming interface. It's this kind of, for me, it's a further step from EDI as we have today to really having the data directly pulled from our website. And when I'm talking to the customers, I'm always using this example of fax machine. I mean, if you think about it, in the previous times, it was a pretty good tool, right? Everybody was using it. But can you imagine using it today? Probably not. I think it's the same that's going to happen with email one time, or really this exchange. I think the speed of execution, the curve of that, is going so fast and so going the upwards, that we'll probably need to change the method of working together. And API is definitely one of those methods where the customer can get information about the stock, the package, price, and availability within seconds. So if you have, especially like an EMS, you're a high mix low volume EMS, and you need fast answers to your customer, not wait 7 to 10 days for the right feedback, then this is the tool for you. And the other really good aspect of that is, it tends that people from the purchasing would spend the same amount of time and the same amount of effort, whether you're quoting a 0 nothing resistor versus a big microcontroller, right? And definitely the money is here, not so much here. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but if you are using those tools, then definitely you can allocate more time, and time really matters today. And this is the biggest true cost, time. Then you can allocate it for the other components which you can, further develop. And yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. With the big customers, that is a problem, isn't it? All those big lists and so forth. That's right. That's right. What do you think makes Digikey so unique, and what value does it bring to the market?
I would say there are many things that make us unique. I think still a lot of customers would see us, oh, Digikey, Mauser, Farnell, what's the difference? I don't really see. I think the biggest thing that comes into my mind quickly is that we are privately owned, and it tells me that we are able to do really good things pretty quickly, and most importantly with a high flexibility level. And I'll give you the example. I had some customers, actually not in Slovenia, but they were asking for some components to be just placed on our stock. And it was really quite easy to do it for them. And so we signed another supplier, we just placed it, and we have the components, especially for them. In a public company, that would probably be a little bit more complicated. So that's number one. I think that private ownership drives us the flexibility and kind of fast decision-making process that we can have. I would say that's number one. Number two, I would say that definitely something that defines us on the market is the stock availability. I think it's the broadest, the biggest selection, and we're constantly adding. We're constantly nurturing the supplier base and having more, and expanding into the DK Plus models, the industrial automation, which is probably coming to Europe in some further time. So I would say number two is the stock. This is really what makes us unique. And number three, it's really the great team that we have. Because I'm not even talking only about the team that we have in Europe that is servicing the customers every day, that they can really feel there is not only the machine behind, but there is this human contact that they can, take a chat or give them a call or send them an email. But there's also great people back in our headquarters in Tiferet Falls, which are servicing these deliveries every day in really strange weather conditions. As recently our president said, the pandemic that we have today, it's really unique, and it is a problem for worldwide. But we are kind of used to that with our weather conditions back in Minnesota. So the severe condition is something we are used to, and I really give them big pleasure that big thank you that they're doing this, because it's really important. And I think this kind of approach makes us also unique. So I would say those three things.
Yeah, thanks. Wonderful. You mentioned severe weather, severe conditions like this pandemia now. Do you think Digikey will introduce some webinars, technical webinars, something like that? You have that in plan?
So if you think about, it's also always a question, how do you define webinars? Because if you're asking about truly, someone is showing a presentation and it's ongoing, I think this is something we already did with, I think, at least TI and Wurth. And then I know we have Randall Restley, who is our VP of applications, and he's talking about the blockchain. I think even this week, I guess, he's making this, instead of conference, this digital. And the one other, I know that Herman Reiter did also a presentation after the embedded, let's say, more digital way. And I know this is an ongoing project to give feedback on to customers what's going on. I think the next one is going to happen in May. But honestly, we're always thinking into this one-to-many solution. So webinar is great, but we want to put content either on our website or YouTube channel or on our maker.io website. And there is a lot of product training modules and new product introductions. Or you have Sean Himmel, who's showing new stuff, hardware information. I really, really recommend this maker.io website. And there's plenty of information about the product, about the projects. It's really good. Also our YouTube channel and website. So okay. Plus, this interview hopefully will be this kind of webinar to give it to that bigger audience. Yeah. So thank you for the opportunity.
It's the first interview that you are having with publisher. That's right. By the way, let's mention to our viewers that we will write down in the comments all the names that you have said right now, so that people don't need to listen very carefully. What were the names you have mentioned? Okay.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Absolutely
right.
No problem.
Let's continue. I'm wondering how Digikey sees Slovenia comparing to neighboring countries like, I don't know, Austria, maybe Hungary, Croatia, with respect to overall business, or with respect to high-tech products.
Okay. First of all, I need to say I cannot really speak for Austria because this is not my region. So it would be hard for me to mention anything. For the latter two that you mentioned, in terms of Hungary, definitely there is less business here in Slovenia. In terms of Croatia, it's much higher business. And it's definitely based for us on the EMSs that we're doing most of the business over here. So this is how I would view Slovenia. The technical aspect is mainly based on the EMSs that you have. Of course, the legacy of Iskra that is always visible in Slovenia is something interesting for us as well. And we're working with many customers. In terms of tech, I wouldn't see a big difference between those regions. But in terms of sales, I would say it differs. Definitely much bigger market for us than Croatia for the moment.
Do you also cooperate with development bureaus that are here in Slovenia? Would you? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it's actually a little bit better now since the threshold are lower. I know it was a problem in the past when the free shipment was above $100. I know it was problematic for them, and then we kind of also work with some local distries, like worth mentioning here is SVET Electronika to support that. But now we're trying to be more and more directly with customers.
Okay. Does Digikey have a plan to, I don't know, open an office here in Slovenia? Or have a local person here?
I think not, to be honest. I know when I came to Digikey from Aero, that was kind of my vision. I thought, okay, in every major country, we'll probably have an office or we'll have an representative, and this is how we're going to go. But honestly, within as you said, the last 7 years, I don't think it's really needed. I think the Digikey has the right model because even with me traveling to customers, meeting them, it's not like always you should be there and bounce your customer and have a visit and, because these guys, they really want to work, especially the engineers. They want to get access to data, access to information, have a quick price, and all of those values you can have online. And, something that is worth mentioning, I'm often asked about the technical support. How can you do it? Can I have your application engineer? No, actually, the way we do it is through chat. And the chat works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that you can really type your question. We have a bunch of engineers back from the headquarters sitting over there and replying to that. Because, I'm a sales guy. It would be hard for me to talk on the same level with those engineers. So honestly, never say never, but I don't really think it is happened because I don't see the need.
Yeah, well, listen, if the system works now perfectly, why would you, Anna? I can totally agree with you. Okay, Narek, is there anything else you would like to add to all the questions?
I think these are the most important parts. I think API was really worth mentioning, so I thank you for that. Again, it's worth underlying that we have lowered the shipping thresholds and that the custom clearance is within that. So we're based in the US, but we kind of want the customers to have the feeling that we are more local, that we are close to them, even if it's more sometimes through digital than the physical presence. But it really works. I think some of the changes we recently had, we also invested a lot in the supply chain, which customers can do directly from their account. And this is now in the local currency, which is Euro for you guys over there. And, as I said, we're privately owned, so we're flexible. Talk to us. If there is another need, we're open for discussion. We're always open. We're hungry for customers to do more with us.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Especially now when it's pandemia, we are not allowed to see each other in private, in live, but
Yes.
we can do it
Yes.
over. Thanks
Yeah.
very much, Aaron, for this interview. It
Yep.
was a pleasure to talk to you today. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure for me. Thank you very much for having me. All the best.
All the best to you too. Bye.
Bye.